Well, good evening, everyone. By golly, this is our first time together, and I'm Pietro Ingrande, and I am going to introduce to you tonight a couple things. But first, we've got a late arriving crowd. I don't know how many people are actually going to be here. I expect a big crowd, but you just never know. But you know what? Whether there's one person or 20 or 30 or 40 or more, hey, we're going to put on a good show tonight. But let me make sure that everyone can hear me okay, because on the first time that we log in, usually there's some folks that have some issues with the audio. So let me just take a quick peek here. And I'm looking, there's a number of people that don't look like they got their audio on. So let me do this. Obviously, if I say, can you hear me? Those of you that got your audio can hear. But everybody else, I don't know. So let me just type this in real quick and make sure that everyone can hear me okay, because I want everyone to benefit. This is really what I like to say is a fun, informative, educational class. And I want everyone to benefit from it. So let me just type something in here real quick. I am speaking. Can you hear? Okay. Now that should catch all the folks who can't hear me and are wondering, what the heck is going on here? What the heck is going on? All right. So far, I don't see anyone typing anything back to me that they can't hear. Oh, I do got one person that says no. Okay. All right. If you can't hear, check the drop down and activate audio. If that doesn't work, go out and come back in and activate audio. Okay. I hope that works. I hope that works, because you know what? Hey, even though this isn't, well, let me rephrase all that. I was about to say, even though this isn't my actual CCS exam prep class, hey, whenever I get together with folks and talk coding, it's always good. Because you know why? And why you're here? Because I know why you're here. You recognize that having a CCS credential will do a lot for your career, won't it? Yeah, it will. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not an easy thing to do. But with careful preparation, you can. Now, there's a couple folks that can't hear. And let me just say it one more time. See my instructions above if you can't hear. Okay. There's not a whole lot I can do if they're not doing the instructions. All right. Hey, that's how you get a job. You know that? You follow instructions. So anyway, this happens every time. So forgive me, folks. The problem with us tonight is that we're only here together for just one short hour. And so I want to make the most out of every moment, but I want everyone to try and participate. So let me just check the group here and see. Yeah, most everybody has their audio. There's still just a few folks. Hopefully they will get it squared away. If not, you know what? It's all good. That's right. It is all good. And so let's do this, folks. Let's do this. And as I started to say earlier, hey, when we get to talking coding, it's like it's different than a class. I mean, this is a classroom setting, and you can interact and ask questions, and that's fine. I encourage that because I want you. I mean, you came here. You came here because you wanted information. You recognize that having a CCS credential will do a lot towards your career opportunities. And let me say it more simply. You got a better chance of getting an inpatient coding job with the CCS than you do without it. Because the CCS credential screams that you have the necessary knowledge and skill to be an inpatient coder. What you need is an opportunity to show that you can do just that. Okay, so there's lots of ways to prepare to take and pass the CCS exam. There is. And I'm going to talk to you, obviously, about my course. But, hey, I wanted to be fair when you guys came here. This isn't just a sell job. You don't have to take my course. You don't. And you know what? There's lots of folks that don't do it and do pass the CCS exam. So how do they do that? How do they do that? Obviously, I want you to take my course. I think I offer the best training available. And the advantage to taking my course, what I always say is this, and I want you to think about it too, just for a moment. Is it better to be over-prepared or under-prepared? It's a tough question. No, it's. I think most of us would say that we'd rather be over-prepared. And I don't know if I have any Italian people in the audience, or if you know anybody that's Italian, this will make sense to you. If you've ever been to an Italian person's house and you're there to eat, the food just never stops coming. What the heck, man? When's it going to stop? You know, and you got the old mother sitting there, manja, manja, manja. I guess you can tell that, yeah, this guy here is Italian. Okay. Hey, why even bring that up? Because I want you to feel like, and this is what I do in my classes, I want you to feel that this isn't just a classroom, and a classroom is awesome enough as it is. Why? Because you can ask questions. Have you done courses where there's modules? I bet you have. And have you found yourself frustrated, even angry with the module? Because when you have a question, what happens when you have a question? Well, I'll tell you what, I've done modules, and when I've had questions, no matter how long and how loud I screamed at the computer, they never answered me back. God, man, oh man. And if you try and send an email, and good luck with a phone call to the instructors, yeah, good luck getting that thing back too. And usually what it is, it's in an email, and it's real short answers, you know, yes, no, read your book, check the guideline. So in my class, obviously there's an advantage because, hey, it's real time. You got a question right then and there, you can ask it. And that leads to better earning potential once you get your CCS, but it leads to better learning. And so that's why obviously I recommend my live class, because that's a distinct advantage. But let me do this, because like I said, I do want to be fair to everyone. I mean, I know that probably most of you are not going to take my course, and that's fine. That's fine. Hey, let's have fun tonight anyway. All right, we'll have some entertainment just doing the class, because we're gonna talk about some cool stuff, and mostly about my course. But you know, if you're planning on taking the CCS exam, don't you need to know what the CCS exam is about and what an inpatient coder does? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. You know, so that you're better prepared and you know what you're getting yourself into, and you know what? Hey, you're going to like it. In fact, I want to share something that one of my students said on Monday night. This past Monday night, I did my DRG class, which is just a kicker class. I mean, man, oh man! Every time I do, in fact, you know what? Every time I do it, I still get excited, and it's my wife's favorite class. Now, why do I say that? Well, my wife doesn't do this for a living, but she is involved in healthcare. And she's listened to my classes before, and she's made a point to say, God, I love that DRG class. I never get tired of it. It is so good. Well, anyway, I did the DRG class just this Monday night, and a couple of the students were saying, God, this is really, really good. And then another one said, you know, obviously the really, really good is good enough as it is, but this was the part that I really liked. One of my students said, oh my gosh, I am starting to love inpatient coding. This is so cool. It's so interesting. Outpatient is boring in comparison. Now, I don't want that to sound as if I'm demeaning outpatient coding, because I'm not. What I'm trying to do is look how this individual student got invigorated and excited about the idea of doing inpatient coding. And if that's what you want to do, if that's your goal, well then you know what? Go in there excited and enthused about what you're going to do, because doing inpatient coding is exciting. It's interesting. It's educational. And why would I say educational? Because it takes a year to learn how to code. And I say that because I've been in this business over 40 years. Oh, by golly, I didn't even introduce myself. You know, I do so many of these classes, sometimes they just run one right into the other, and I just start talking. It's like a comedian on stage. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're not. But yeah, hey, I'm Pietro in Grande. I run the CCS Exam Prep course. Sorry I was late doing that. By golly, I've been talking for 10 minutes already. But yeah, I run the CCS Exam Prep course. I am really, really proud of this course. We have helped hundreds of people in 4 years online take and pass the CCS exam. Those are incredible numbers. Really, I mean, really, you know, it's not 10 people, it's not 20 people, it's not 50 people, it's hundreds of people. And you know what? Most of them had little or no inpatient experience. They did it. You can do it too. And you know what? You don't even have to take my course to do it. How's that for being as fair as can be? What do other people do besides my course? They purchase study guides from AHIMA. Those are really good. Those are really good. And I've got someone that just asked me a question, so feel free to ask questions, folks. I will try and get to every single one of them, time permitting. So someone just, who is it, DN Ellis, she just asked a question. Hold on, let me finish this thought, and then I will answer your question. So hundreds of people took my class, went on to take and pass the CCS exam. That's no small, easy feat. You know, it's easy to say that, you know, we have this much success rate, but when the numbers are small, your success rates are high. When the numbers start ratcheting up, then all of a sudden it gets down to earth a little bit. Well, you know what? We have an 87% success rate with my students who take my class and then take the CCS exam. And when you extrapolate that 87%, that's almost 9 out of 10. I'll tell you what, I like those odds. Do you like those odds? I like those odds. So with that being said, hey, what can you do besides my course? You can get study guides from AHIMA, and I encourage you to go to their website, their bookstore, and check out the study guides that they have available. They're really good. I mean, why in the world would I try and knock AHIMA's study stuff? I mean, I use some of their material myself. I'm a big AHIMA guy. So, yeah, their study guide is really good. Also, they have a certified coding specialist prep book, which is just awesome. It's got a CD. Well, let me rephrase that. I went back to the past. It's got an online program that you get when you purchase the book that helps you better understand inpatient coding with terrific exercises and mock exams, and the book itself is really good. So you've got those two great tools from AHIMA. There's also another book that's popular. It gets mixed reviews. Some people will swear by it. Others will say it's got way too many wrong answers. To each their own. I never like to focus on negatives. I always focus on positives. I think you get better results when you do that. Let's not look for excuses to fail. Instead, let's find reasons to succeed. And if you follow that type of philosophy, you'll find yourself doing a heck of a lot better than looking for excuses on why you failed or why why you will fail without even doing it. Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, and then this. Yeah, you know what? Find reasons to succeed. You want to better your future, your things for your family, have more earning potential so that you can have nicer things and provide education for your kids too. So, find reasons to succeed, not excuses not to. Okay, there's also the PRG guide, the professional review guide for the CCS exam. Like I said, a lot of folks will swear by it, others won't, but it's a good resource. It's got nice examples and tools for you. Are there errors? There's errors in every study guide that you use. I mean, not every single page, but I mean, there's errors. I mean, it happens. Hey, we're human, right? Do we make mistakes? Well, who are the books made by? Okay, there you have it. Enough said. There's study groups that you could join. And of course, a lot of you folks are on the Facebook pages, and a lot of folks share information there. I share information there. That's where a lot of you met me. I do it for multiple reasons. One, I want to reach out to as many people as possible because I think I can help make a difference in your career. And not just because I do this for money. Yeah, I do this for money, but I love doing it. And it's my way of giving back to the community that once helped me when I was a youngster and I started in this business. And I know I sound real young. Thank you very much. But I've been doing this for 40 years. Oh my, 40 years. Actually, it's more than that, but I want to sound younger. And so it's my way of giving back to the community that gave so much to me. So I make it affordable. I make it convenient. I tape each class. And you know what? With that, let me just share a couple things with you that can help you in your quest. Now, I mentioned the AHIMA website. There is also an AHIMA candidate guide. And you can Google it on the internet. It is a terrific tool to help you better understand the different AHIMA credentials. Because right now, again, I'm not doing one side against the other, inpatient versus outpatient, AAPC versus AHIMA. I'm not doing that. I'm talking about inpatient coding because that's why you're here. You want to know about inpatient coding, what an inpatient coder does. And AHIMA offers inpatient coding credentials in addition to other credentials. And the AHIMA Candidate Guide is a terrific resource to look at the different AHIMA credentials like the RHIA, the RHIT, the CCA, the CCS, CCSP, and all the other credentials that they offer to see what they do. In fact, let's just go down here to the CCS page. Dun, da, da, da. And here it is. Let me get my pencil out here. CCSs are professionally skilled in classifying medical data from patient records and going on and on and on. You can read about it on your own. Great stuff about what an inpatient coding professional does. And then, and more important to that, is the eligibility requirements to be able to take the CCS exam. Because here's the deal. If you don't qualify to take the exam, then you can't take it. No brainer, right? You got to be able to qualify to take the exam. And if you do, well, let's take a look at some of the minimum requirements. All right? The minimum requirements. You got to have a credential from another organization like a CCA or a CPC with 1 year of coding experience. I mean, come on. A credential, any credential, with 1 year of coding experience. Now, if you don't have a credential, well, you can still meet it by, here it is. Coding credential from other organization and 1 year of coding experience. If you don't have that, do you have 2 years of coding experience? If you do, then you meet the eligibility requirements. The last one is by education. This is where it gets tricky. I mean, it's real easy when students tell me, I got 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of coding experience. Okay, you meet the eligibility requirement. I got a CPC and 1 year coding experience. Okay, you meet the eligibility requirements. When it comes to education, I can't tell you if your program meets the qualifications. You would have to check with AHIMA. And if they say you do, well then, and if you do have the credential in 1 year or 2 years of experience, then you meet the eligibility requirements. Now, that being said, you got to be able to pass the exam. I mean, you don't want to just throw away $400. That's where the preparation comes in. And you could use all those prep the tools that I just talked about, the AHIMA tools, the PRG, et cetera, et cetera. You can even shop around, and I encourage you to other programs that offer CCS Exam Prep. They're out there. They vary, and their programs can be expensive. Programs that are similar to mine, and I mean similar to mine, can cost you up to $1,500. Mine's only $399. I mean, come on. And my wife tells me all the time, you're not charging enough. That's okay. I want people to succeed. That's where I am in my life. So that's why I do what I do. So if you meet the eligibility requirements, then you're set. All you got to do is prepare yourself to take and pass the CCS exam. So what does an inpatient coder do and know? And what do you need to know to be able to take and pass that CCS exam? Well, you're looking right now at the course outline for the CCS exam. There it is in front of you right there. Let me get my pencil out here. There's 97 multiple choice questions. 79 are scored. I get questions about this all the time. What that means is there may be 97 questions, but 18 of them don't count. They don't count. That's because AHIMA does things with their exam. Sometimes there's mistakes. And if there are, they're not going to count. So don't sit there and sweat and fret and get all shook up like Elvis, all shook up. Because if there's mistakes, they know it. All right. And there's 17 that they can eliminate. There's 18 that they can eliminate, and they don't count. I've seen so many people complain as if the world crashed in, because let's not kid ourselves. Not passing the exam is a pretty big blow. Who likes to fail? But you know what? I don't like to say that you failed. You just didn't pass the exam. You can take it again. It's like the Super Bowl. They play it again every year. So you can take the CCS exam again. And you know what happens the second or third time, maybe even the fourth, and you pass it? You know what happens? They call you CCS. They don't call you CCS, but they had to take it 3 times. No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. What they call you is CCS. So the important thing is that you acquire the necessary knowledge and skill to earn that credential, and that credential will get you an interview. It's in the interview process where you demonstrate that you're the right person for the job and that you can get that job. And now I'm going to go back to the question here by DN Ellis, who asked me, what are the chances of getting a job as an inpatient coder with the CCS but no experience? And that's a great question. And what are the chances? Well, I'll tell you what. Your chances are better with a CCS than they are without one to get that inpatient coding job. That's what I can say with certainty. Because here's the deal. As I just mentioned, having the CCS will get you the interview. It's in the interview process where you demonstrate to the potential employer that you're the right person for the job. How do you do that? I mean, think about that. You're in the interview process, and the coding supervisor or the manager, whoever's interviewing you, asks you this question: do you have any coding experience? Don't you just hate that? And the funny thing is that they know you don't have experience. They know, they've got your resume in front of them. Okay, well, let's see. What do we got here? Well, this one, she's been coding for 3 years in dermatology. How the hell did she pass the CCS exam? Well, you know what? She worked hard for it. That's how she did it. And she earned it. She earned it. And you know what? Wait till you hear her responses. Because remember, it's in the interview where you demonstrate that you're the right person for the job. How do you do that? By demonstrated knowledge and skill. Demonstrating knowledge and skill. I wish you could have been in my class Monday night, because what I'm talking about right now, that's exactly what I was talking about in class. Of course, it was my DRG class, and this is how it went, all right? So I don't know how many of you are going to actually sign up for my program, but if you do, you're going to hear this again, and I want you to hear it now, because we just got a question in our class right now that was really important. Really, I don't want to waste my money on something that's going to give me little chance of success. And I can't guarantee anyone's success, but I can guarantee you this. If you believe you will achieve, if you work to that end, get that plan and work to that end. And what you're doing right now, thinking about getting that credential, because you know what it can do for you. That's part of the process. The rest is acquiring the necessary knowledge and skill. Now, granted, every facility wants someone with 3 to 5 years experience. Why? Because it takes a year to learn how to code. You heard me say that a moment ago? It's true. That's after you've gone through school to teach you how to code. That's after you've earned your credential. That's after you've earned your first coding job, because it's on the job where you learn how to code. Your coding supervisor or manager is going over your charts, is giving you feedback, is coaching you, is mentoring you, is developing your skills. They describe to you why this is the principal diagnosis. They talk to you about DRG assignment. And they talk to you about the official coding rules and guidelines in coding clinics. Because the person that codes every day knows this and is supposed to know it, and that's why they're coaching and teaching you. Now, listen to this. You just earned your CCS, and you're in that interview, and you just got that question. Do you have any coding experience? And you're not going to sit there and sheepishly say, no, or no, I don't. Instead, you're going to say, I don't have any actual coding experience, but I am very knowledgeable and skilled with inpatient coding. You see, I understand about DRGs. Specifically, I know that there are 2 sets of DRGs, medical and surgical, in each MDC. And I know about selection of principal diagnosis and secondary diagnoses. And I know how that impacts, because DRGs are set up in either triplets or pairs. And I know how the CC and MCC impacts on that DRG. And I know about respiratory conditions, specifically pneumonia, how there are 2 types of DRGs, simple pneumonia and respiratory infections. And of course, the respiratory infections are bacterial pneumonias. I know when to query when appropriate to ensure that we're getting proper documentation and DRG assignment. I know how a ventilator impacts DRGs when you pair them up with respiratory diagnoses. I could go on, but I'm not. You get the picture? You see how you make that difference? What you're doing is you're demonstrating knowledge and skill. You're going to be tested. If you're going to apply for a job, they're going to test you. It's not like you pass the CCS exam and then you're done, you retire. The work is just beginning. You keep your knowledge and your skills sharp, and you never let your eyes off the prize. And that's getting that job, and you do so. It's knowledge, skill, attitude. So you don't go in there like a fish. No, I don't have any experience. Oh, no, I'm not going to get the job. Instead, you go in there like a lion and you roar what you know. And they're going to look at you and say, oh, my gosh, there's something there. And you know what? Departments do like to bring in someone that they can mold into their image. So you demonstrate that knowledge and skill and attitude, you might be the person for the job. So, as I said earlier, you'll have a better chance with it than without it. And there you have it. And so, okay, I've got some more questions here. So even after getting the CCS, do you recommend us to take a DRG course? If you take my class, here it comes, right? Here's the sales pitch, folks. If you take my class, the DRG course is included. If you're wondering why I had a class on Monday night, that class has become so popular, and so many times my students have said how much they loved it, and they wanted more. I teach about an hour and a half of it in my class sessions, and the impact is just huge. And they love it so much. It says, Pete, you got to do more of this. And so I made it available to the public, and we had one Monday night. It was a terrific turnout. And they loved it. So if you don't take my class, take my DRG at least. Or you know what? Better yet, take it before you take the CCS exam, because DRGs are on there, and understanding DRGs is what inpatient coding is all about. In fact, take a look at the outline that I've got in front of you right now. 97 multiple choice, 8 case scenarios. It's a 4-hour exam with no breaks. I mean, think about that, 4 hours. And so the exam itself is broken up into different domains. Domain 1, Domain 2. Health information documentation, there's about 8 to 10% of the exam. And what does it entail? Well, you have to be able to interpret health record documentation using your knowledge of anatomy, physiology, clinical indicators, disease processes, pharmacology, a lot of stuff, huh? Well, think about it. And you may not even know, but the CCS exam was designed for people who code every day. Before the CCS, the only way to be an inpatient coder with a credential was to either go through the RHIA program, 4 years, or the RHIT program, 2 years. That was the only way to get that inpatient credential. And it was fine until DRGs came into being. It kind of changed our business tremendously. And what happened was, all of a sudden, hospitals were realizing that reimbursement was tied to their coders. And so they said, who are these guys? I mean, come on. If the coder is going to determine how much money we're going to make, well, dag burn it, who are they, and what's their education level? Do they have any kind of certification to be an inpatient coder? Who does that? And so hospitals were being educated about the industry, and then all of a sudden there was a heightened interest in having credentialed people do your inpatient coding. Now that left a lot of people out in the cold, because not in those days, there were a lot of people doing inpatient coding who did not have any credential, and they could not go back to school to get a 2-year program or a 4-year program with AHIMA. AHIMA recognized this and created the challenge exam, which was the CCS. This allowed people who were already in the field go and take a challenge exam, and if they passed it, they would get their CCS certification and be all good with their hospital and the industry. It has since evolved into the gold standard of coding. And what does an inpatient coder need to know? Well, they need to know the things that are right here on this exam. And the inpatient coder who codes every day knows how to read and interpret documentation. and understanding the anatomy, physiology, clinical indicators, etc., 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 and be able to consult with physicians to compile a query, and all the other factors that go along with being able to read and interpret documentation. About 65% of the exam, in addition to the 10% for documentation, is being able to select the appropriate diagnoses that require coding. Principal diagnosis, secondary diagnosis for acute care, and outpatient. And that includes procedures. Now take a look at this. You got to be able to interpret the conventions, the formats, instructional notes, tables, definitions, anything and everything about coding. Because the person who codes every day knows this. That's what you need to know. I mean, you can't fake it, folks, because here's the deal. Passing the exam is tough enough as it is. But after that, you want to get that job. So you have to be able to read and interpret the documentation, assign the principal diagnosis, secondary diagnoses, procedures performed by using your book correctly and following the official coding rules and guidelines and coding clinic. Because if you don't know the rules, you can't play the game, and the CCS exam is anything and everything about coding. Format, structure, guidelines, chapter-specific guidelines, inpatient guidelines, outpatient guidelines, and coding clinic. All official advice. So let's go on. Let's take a look at Domain 3, regulatory guidelines for acute care services. Select the principal diagnosis, principal procedure, coding clinic, present on admission. DRGs. Hey, it's what we're talking about even. Understand Inpatient Prospective Payment System, IPPS. And Domain 4, same thing for outpatient. Understand CPT Assistant Coding Clinic and OPPS. And that's another 12% of the exam. So we're up to almost 80% of the exam. Almost 80% of the exam is being able to do what I just said. Read and interpret the documentation, assign principal diagnosis, secondary diagnoses, procedures performed by using your books correctly. And I've got a whole bunch of questions on the table. Let me just see what's going on here. Okay, I'm an outpatient coder, just took the CCS exam and did not make it. I came close. Inpatient questions killed me. I know I will pass, and you will pass. You betcha. You betcha. I love what you just said. I'm determined. I am so glad you said that. There is nothing to be ashamed of for not passing the CCS exam. It's a tough exam. And remember what I just said? It's for people who code every day. So look what happens when you pass that exam. You've demonstrated knowledge and skill that the person who codes every day knows. So is that a guarantee you'll get a job? It's a step. There are no guarantees. We still have to be ever diligent, keep practicing, keep our skills sharp, so that when you get that opportunity, you make the most out of it. And did you like what I just said about, do you have any experience? Oh, let me tell you, I may not have actual experience, but I know coding. Did you like that thing? Imagine yourself saying that, but saying it with conviction because you know and you understand it. That's how you make a difference, and there's a lot of ways to do that. We talk about that in my course. That's what sets us apart from others. Let's take a look at some other questions here. So the CCS is mostly PCS. Well, it's not mostly PCS, but inpatient coding is PCS. And if you don't know PCS, you need to know PCS. Now, I don't want you to worry because I offer PCS training in my program, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. I do need to step it up so that I can get to that part of the program. That's the most important part. I mean, my wife will kill me if I don't get that part out there. You know, the thing is, like I said, I love to talk about this, and it makes such a difference. I mean, doesn't it make a difference for you when you've got someone that is talking to you about the industry and coding and understands it so that you can learn it and better understand it? That's just going to make you a better coding professional. In fact, one of the things that I always tell my students, you know what the worst thing that will happen to you in my program is? You know what that is? The worst thing that can happen to you if you take my program is you learn more about coding than you did coming in. And that's not a bad thing. No, it's not. Yeah, you'll learn more. You will definitely learn more. In fact, you might even learn something tonight. You may have already. Someone is asking me, is this recorded? Because I want to listen to it again. It is being recorded. And if you want to listen to the recording again, send me an email, and I'll send you the taped replay so that you can watch it again. And you are free to share that with your colleagues and friends. If you take my program, you can't share my program. This introduction, you can, because I'm just telling you about coding and what you need to do and what you need to know if you want to be an inpatient coder. So let me continue. Oh, I think I did. I finished all that. And then, of course, there's data quality management and information technologies, but they're very small portions of the exam. They count, and we cover them in my class. We cover all the domains. In fact, why don't I tell you a little bit about my program? Can I do that? Let's do that. Let's do that. Because I think that's important. Okay. And now you know who I am. Now you know what I do. Let's talk about my program. Okay. By golly. There are objectives, and here they are. My course objective is to prepare individuals to take the CCS exam and pass it. I don't want you to just take it. I want you to go out there and pass it. Yeah. So that's our main objective. It's also introducing you to inpatient coding. You know, like I just mentioned, the CCS exam is designed for people who code every day, and that's mostly inpatient. So if you don't know inpatient coding, it's very challenging to walk in there and take and pass the exam. More important than that, if you do pass it, you still got to get that job, because I want to prepare you for both. So we introduce you to inpatient coding, and PCS training is available, and it's recommended that you take it before the CCS Exam Prep. And we'll talk about that more in just a bit. Our other objective is to help you better understand the official coding rules and guidelines, and that includes the conventions, coding clinic, and prepare you for a coding career. I've said that a few times already. You know, it's easy just to create a program with modules. Just go through the modules. Man, you know what? I don't, like I said earlier, I prefer having someone to talk to. All right? I'm one of those touchy-feely guys, you know, that puts their emotions on their shoulder. Yeah. I need that to learn better. So this program does just that. You can ask questions, and you can send me emails or even call me after class if you have questions, and it'll be my pleasure to help you. As I mentioned, you will learn inpatient coding. You'll learn about selection of principal diagnosis. That's where it all starts. Oh, let's see, I got another comment here. I like your confidence, honesty, and honesty. You sound like a previous instructor that I had many moons ago. Thanks, Mom. Right. I'm only playing. You know, as you can tell, yeah, I do this very enthusiastically, and I do like to have fun. I think that's important in a program, to have fun. In fact, I used to say all the time, look, if you can't have fun at work, why go? And if you can't have fun in school, why bother? So yeah, we have some fun, and so I find that students like it better, and they learn better when they're having fun what they're doing. In fact, think about this. When you love your job and you love what you do and you have fun doing it, you never really work a day in your life. You're just having fun. Yeah, well, work can be like that. And so whether or not you take my class or not, make a difference in the industry. Help develop people, not just workers. Help make this a better world, one person at a time. Oh, someone just says, oh my God, I tell the kids that all the time. Hey, you need to take my class. You will love it. In fact, I just had this conversation just last night because I did a class last night. And I've had students say it before. Oftentimes, we spend so much time together that spouses and children listen in on the class. And they love it too. And in fact, one of them was telling his wife, you don't know what you don't know. It's one of my classic lines. And she was cracking up, and she told me, and I was cracking up too. So, yeah, hey, it's not just a class. It's a reflection of life and more. Oh, by the way, the coding part, over the top. And, all right, so selection of principal diagnosis, you'll learn that. You'll learn about how to select secondary diagnoses. Behind all these things that I'm talking about are rules and guidelines. And coding clinic. If you don't know the rules, you can't play the game. So we make a big effort in trying to help you better understand that. So selection of principal diagnosis, secondary diagnoses, and procedures performed. You'll also learn and understand about CCs and MCCs, comorbid conditions and major comorbid conditions, and how they impact on DRG assignment. That's all critical to being an inpatient coder. Why in the world do you think you always see 3 to 5 years preferred? Well, how do you get experience if nobody will give you experience? You got to be ready for that moment. My class helps prepare you to do that. At least you will walk in feeling much more confident than you did before. We talk about, and you will learn about coding compliance, coding ethics, the query process. In fact, I just had a couple students pass yesterday and one today, and I'm so excited about that. That's good. That's real good. And they said, we had a lot of questions about the query process. So I'm going to have to make sure this class understands it really well. But we do. We cover it, the compliance, ethics, the query process, and we even include hospital-acquired conditions, what they are, and what the impact is on DRG assignment. You may or may not even have heard that before. And we talk about discharge disposition and present on admission. Folks, man, this class has it all and more. And it's fun. What else will you learn? Well, you'll learn about the content of the exam. In fact, we talked about it in the introduction to the class. About 85% of the exam is just being able to read and interpret documentation, assign the principal diagnosis, secondary diagnoses, procedures performed, while using your book correctly and following the official coding rules and guidelines in Coding Clinic. It sounds like such a simple formula. However, in real life, it is challenging because medical diseases can be very complex. That's where the pathophysiology part of it comes in, where you start to understand clinical indicators and the disease process, how diagnoses are diagnosed and how they are treated, and the lab tests and radiology that's involved. The person who codes every day is very familiar with that. Now, you as a student just learning it, that's where the challenge comes in. But you know what? I always stress this. Don't beat yourself up about what you don't know, because you don't know what you don't know. You have to be taught. You have to learn it. You have to understand it, and then you know it. So be patient with yourself. Whether you take my course or not, be patient with yourself to allow your skills to develop. But develop those skills. Because if you want to succeed, you got to be able to compete at a high level. And you know what? Who says you can't? I say you can. Believe in yourself. Who would have thought? Who would have thought some of the things that have happened in the past? I mean, I would never have dreamed that I would have been able to do what I'm doing now. But here I am. Hey, if I did it, I know you can do it. All right, so you'll learn how to prepare so that when you do take the exam and then go on a job interview, that you'll be better prepared to do so. You'll learn about timing because it's a 4-hour exam. There's things you got to know how to make the most use out of your time. It sounds like a lot of time, but it goes very quickly. And if you're not aware of your timing, you could have the clock run out on you. And you can't let that happen because every question that you leave blank is wrong. Those are lost points that you can't get back. So the first objective is to get that timing down so that you do take the exam, you finish it. And of course, you go in with confidence. Now, how do you get confidence? I mean, you got to have the confidence. Well, you know how you get confidence? You're prepared. You're prepared. That's where confidence is. When are you not confident? When you're not prepared, right? So remember how we started the class? Would you rather be over-prepared or under-prepared? Would you rather, if you're throwing a party, would you rather have too much food or not enough? Okay. So, give yourself the best chance to succeed. And that's where my program makes a difference. So if you join us, you'll participate in challenging coding exercises. And I mean big time challenging coding exercises that help you reinforce what we have just learned and what we're trying to accomplish so that you do have that confidence. You'll participate in homework assignments, and this is where I try and find a place to run and hide because my homework assignments are intense, very intense. And the thing is, you'll probably curse me, but when it's all said and done, you'll thank me, as so many have. Because if you're going to be an inpatient coder, you have to understand what an inpatient coder needs to know. We also do 2 mock CCS exams. They include 60 multiple choice questions and 13 case examples. So that's pretty doggone good because it gives you the feel of the exam. You get a chance to experience CCS type questions and practice coding. If you don't take my exam, practice and practice and practice. If you don't take my exam, if you don't take my class, practice and practice and practice because that's what's going to improve your skills. And you'll participate in a classroom setting where you can ask questions. Can't minimize how much of an impact that makes. You'll improve your knowledge and skill, your understanding, your awareness, your role as a coder, and you'll improve your chances of success. Now, here's the course outline of what we do cover. We have 12 class sessions. We meet twice a week. It can vary from Wednesdays and Saturdays to other days during the week, depending on the way that I've got the particular class scheduled. But we will cover 12 class sessions, 3-hour sessions, and we use the Nellie Leon Chisholm Coding Handbook, which is a terrific resource. If you don't take my class, get that book and practice coding. That'll help you. We cover the entire book. Chapters 1 through 7, 8 to 11, 12 through 18, 9, we cover them all. And then we do a session on selection of principal diagnosis, introduction to DRGs, 2 mock exams, and then a final exercise that includes AHIMA tools. It's an awesome session. And of course, within each session are homework assignments for every class where we cover the official coding rules and guidelines and coding clinic. If I have time, I'm going to demonstrate a couple coding clinics just so that you get an idea of the impact that they make. I tape each class. Tape replays are available after each session, and you can review them. You can pause, rewind, and fast forward, and you can watch part of it or all of it again and again. You have access for up to 2 weeks. We do offer PCS training. We do teach PCS in our CCS Exam Prep. However, it is a prep course. If you have never had PCS training, or if you don't feel comfortable in PCS, you really do need to take PCS training. And it is available in my combo package. My CCS Exam Prep is a 6-week course. We meet twice a week in 3-hour sessions. It's 36 hours total. And I do tape each class, and PCS training is available. The CCS Exam Prep by itself is $399. If you add PCS training in the combo, it's $499. So, I mean, you get PCS training for $100, and that's pretty doggone good. But you got to do it in the combo, and you will learn the format and structure of PCS, all 7 characters. We cover all 31 root operations. That includes body part, approaches, devices, and qualifiers. And someone has asked me, how much does PCS by itself cost? It is $200 by itself. PCS by itself is $200. So like I said, you may not think you need my course. You may just want to do the DRG class and PCS training. The DRG class by itself is tape replay at $79. The PCS by itself is $200. In the combo, PCS and CCS Exam Prep is $499. What else? We cover the official coding rules and guidelines for PCS, coding clinic. You'll learn the body part key, challenging coding exercises, and of course it's on tape replay as well. And if you have questions, you can ask questions. You can always email or call me. What's the path to success? You hold that key, folks. And as long as you study and participate in the classes, do all the homework assignments, and ask questions and study on your own so that you learn, you can and you will have a great chance to succeed. Why us? Well, my program has an 87% pass rate, those who take the exam, and my class. Hundreds have taken it, hundreds have passed. Most have had little or no inpatient experience. The class is educational, it's informative, it's affordable, and it's fun. That's why you should take my course. You can contact us at primacodemasters.net. That's where my website is. My email is on my website, jandgrande@cox.net. We only have a few minutes left, so let me do this. I told you that we cover the official coding rules and guidelines and coding clinic, and we do. And most coders that do outpatient never get exposed to coding clinic. And coding clinic is official coding advice, and it makes a difference. So let me show you real quickly a couple examples of how it makes a difference. This is one of the exercises I do in my very first class, the introductory class. We have lecture like we're doing now, and we have a terrific discussion, and then we do some exercises, and we do those exercises so that I can introduce to you some coding clinics, and here's one that I use. The example is SIRS due to pneumonia. All right, so let's pretend that you're coding this chart. Do you have your coding book close by? Maybe you could do it real quick. If not, time is running short. Looks like I'm going to run a little bit long, but I do want to get these coding clinics in there. So let me give you the answer. SIRS due to pneumonia. Did you get a chance to look it up? What'd you come up with? Anybody? Did you code it as J18.9? That's the code for pneumonia. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And if you're wondering, well, wait a minute, what about the SIRS? Well, let's take a look at Coding Clinic, shall we? Let's take a look at Coding Clinic. And this is Coding Clinic from 2014, third quarter. And it talks about a 68-year-old admitted with malaise, fever, and fatigue, diagnosed with SIRS. However, there's no mention of sepsis. And the provider documented SIRS, secondary to pneumonia. So how do we code that? I used my encoder and it brought me to sepsis. And here's the answer. Assign J189 pneumonia. When sepsis is not present, no other code is required. ICD-10 does not provide a separate code, and there's no index for SIRS due to an infectious process. If the record appears to meet the criteria for sepsis, you could query the provider. So here's your Coding Clinic advice, which is official, on how to code infectious SIRS. Let's just do one more. One more. I've got over here, this one here. Cerebral infarction. Cerebral infarction with left-sided weakness. Okay? Now, I know you won't have time to grab your coding book and try and do this, but cerebral infarction with left-sided weakness. How do you code that? Well, did you code it as... Oh, hang on. I got all messed up here. Okay. Watch out. I dropped my paper. Okay. Did you code it as I639 and G8194? The I639 is the acute cerebral infarction. G8194 is left-sided hemiplegia. Now, if you're looking at that and sitting there thinking, wait a minute, Pete, it says left-sided weakness. How the heck did you come up with left-sided hemiplegia? Huh? Come on. How do you come up with that? Well, there's a Coding Clinic, and here it is. It's from first quarter 2015. And here's what it says. There's an 88-year-old admitted with a cerebral infarction. In the final statement, the provider documented cerebral infarction, right side, with left-sided weakness. So how do you code the left-sided weakness? Well, assign the code. Here's the answer, I639 for the infarction. And then assign G8194 hemiplegia. And here's where the actual teaching comes to play. When you have unilateral weakness associated with a stroke, it is considered synonymous with hemiparesis. And there you have it. How you use Coding Clinic. Wow. Great stuff, isn't it? You like that? You want more? Well, you can get more. You sure can. You sure can in my program. If you liked what you saw, you will love the class. We're really running over, but I will take a few minutes if any of you have any questions. So if there's any questions, I'll take a few questions. I will go a little bit long. But if not, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested in joining my program, go to my website. At primacodemasters.net or send me an email. Programs $399, $499 with PCS training. If you don't need PCS training, you can start my class Monday. I've got a class starting Monday. It's a Monday-Thursday class for 6 weeks. And if you need PCS training, before you take my next class, you could do PCS training now and the CCS Exam Prep on July 5th. And if you just need PCS training, you could get started tonight because all the information and material that you need will be provided immediately upon purchase. That'll do it, folks. Thank you all very much, and good luck to each and every one of you. Good night, folks. Contact me if you need to. Good night.